Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt was asked about some big news we got, which is the Supreme Court said no to Ghislaine Maxwell, which is good news. I showed you before. I was very concerned that they might bring up her case. She's appealing. Boo hoo 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 is her legal argument. I think word for word. And so then Leavitt was asked about clemency. Would Trump give any legal relief to Ghislaine Maxwell? Would he pardon her? Would he commute her sentence? And we're now going on months of them being asked this, and every time it's, I haven't heard of that, but stay tuned, which is dangerous. Supreme Court rejects appeal from Epstein, Madam, I don't like that term in relation to this, but abuser Ghislaine Maxwell. The U.S. Supreme Court has rejected the appeal by convicted Jeffrey Epstein, Madam Ghislaine Maxwell. It goes on to the details, but that is good news, and that's kind of her last legal recourse, except Trump. And would Trump make any sort of deal with her to benefit him? Maybe the fact that she said in her interview, he was just a gentleman of all gentlemen. And so was Jeffrey. Maybe that is trying to appeal to him to give her some legal relief. And easiest question in history. Are you going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell or give her any sort of clemency? Answer, no. Should be the answer. Here was Leavitt's.
I was going to you in the blue shirt and tie.
Oh, thank you, Karoline.
You're welcome.
The Daily Mail. Today, the Supreme Court declined to hear Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal. Will Trump rule out granting her clemency? Is that something the White House is considering?
It's not something I've heard discussed, and we don't comment on clemency requests that may or may not have been made, but I'm certainly not tracking that one at this point in time.
First of all, just say no. That wasn't a no. She said, I haven't heard discussions about it, but I won't comment on ongoing deliberations about clemency. How do you not go, of course not? Of course not. But then number two, yeah, you do comment on clemency all the time. Trump got asked about Diddy, and it was like, well, Diddy was really nice to me, but I'm sure his people want it, and why they should send it to me because I don't know, but he was really a cool guy. Him, Jeffrey, and Dahmer, we were all hanging out together. It was a good time. My best friends and Osama. I didn't like the guy, but he was kind of a whip smart, and we were besties, right? That's his response. He does comment all the time on people he's considering pardoning. So don't use that as your excuse for not just saying clear and flat out no. And this has been going on for a while. So bizarre that they won't just say no.
And then one, Karoline, one more. Will the president consider pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell if the Epstein case is a hoax?
Okay, I'll start off.
La 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 la. She just ignored the question there. And then Trump really wanted us to know he hasn't thought of it, but he could if he wanted to.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if
it's something I haven't thought about. It's really something. It's something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
But you wouldn't rule it out, sir.
That was one time. It's a strange specification. I'm allowed to do it.
Different. Maybe it's not. I don't know, but maybe it's slightly different.
Mr. President, if you completely rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell when you landed, is that something you would ever consider and why?
Pardon for who?
For Ghislaine Maxwell.
Well, I'm allowed to give her a pardon, but nobody's approached me with it. Nobody's asked me about it. It's in the news about that aspect of it, but...
Okay, put yourself in a interrogation room and a suspect sitting there who's suspected of murdering somebody. And the detective goes, did you kill this person? They go, no. But if I had, that person was a jerk, and really I could have, and it probably would have been self-defense if I did. I could have, but I didn't. But I could have, and it would have been perfectly reasonable. You'd go, oh, I see what you're doing. You don't want to technically admit to it, but you want to kind of lay the groundwork that if it is discovered that it was you, that it wasn't, you definitely had perfect reason to. That's what he's doing. I'm not considering it right now, but I could if I want to. And then Leavitt, to this day, that was months ago, to this day, won't just say unequivocally no. Very suspicious. As we continue to do this, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show. It is free, but it supports us algorithmically. And the like button. That's good too. Here's Leavitt on a different topic.
Over the weekend, sorry, my second question. A federal judge over the weekend that the president had appointed to the bench in his first term in office basically argued that he could not deploy other states' National Guards to Portland. Basically said that it was untethered, his argument, to what is actually happening on the ground. Which local officials in Portland have said that the National Guard is needed there?
With all due respect to that judge, I think her opinion is untethered in reality and in the law. The president is using his authority as Commander-in-Chief, U.S. Code 12406, which clearly states that the president has the right to call up the National Guard in cases where he deems it's appropriate. And
So they're standing their ground on that, and Trump then tried to send in the California National Guard. I saw just as we were starting to record that I think might have been blocked too, but they're just trying to every single mechanism that they possibly can. Then you have this.
Thanks, Caroline. I have two questions. On the layoff of federal workers, potentially, the president said yesterday that Democrats will be to blame if federal workers lose their jobs. Historically, though, in past shutdowns, workers have been furloughed, but they have not been laid off en masse. So wouldn't that be the president's call to lay people off?
as I've said repeatedly, Caitlin, this conversation about layoffs would not be happening right now if the Democrats did not vote to shut the government down. And as I also said last briefing as well, we are $37 trillion in debt, and the government is not receiving any cash. So someone has to...
Don't do it. Don't bring that up. Ugh. What am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say it again? Do you want to say it? I don't know. What am I supposed to do here? Jaden, take the mic.
I can't. I don't even want to do it. No.
I think Jaden's blanking
Yeah.
on what it is.
I don't want.
I can't even say it.
It hurts
Cole should
me.
say it. Oh no, I won't put Cole on the spot. Your bill added more than any other bill to the debt. Don't talk about the debt. You don't get to talk about the debt. Trump added more than every president before him his first term, and now he's on track to do that again, and is blowing up the deficit, blowing up the debt, all for this stupid bill. And you have the nerve to bring up the debt. I'm cracking out, Jade. Nah, I won't even go there. Yeah, so that's just an absurd justification. And then they keep doing that it's the Democrats' fault that they're just going to permanently fire thousands of people because they're blaming the Democrats for the shutdown. But a shutdown doesn't require you to fire a bunch of people. It just doesn't. You just pause operations, furlough people, or have them work without pay. You don't normally fire them. So you can't do something, and just because it happened during the time period where you're blaming someone else for the thing, we could come up with a good analogy on this, but I don't have energy. Then you can't blame them for that. I haven't seen this guy, Graham Plattner, but he's running for Senate in Maine. And I thought had at a town hall a really good response to a MAGA constituent who said, what about all the... brought up that health insurance for undocumented immigrants talking point. And the crowd was kind of upset at that constituent, but then Graham responded to it really nicely. And does it in just... the most charismatic, and I didn't say the word this time, the most Rizzy way imaginable.
So what's your plan for the illegals that are in this state that get free benefits?
They don't.
If you listen to what she was saying, just hear me out. If you listen to what she was saying, at its core, she's angry about the exact same things you are. People are propagandized, people are misinformed, but people are not stupid. And we shouldn't treat them as such. People are angry because they know they're being screwed. They might get lied to, they might get taken in. If somebody robs your neighbor's house, you don't go over there and laugh at them afterwards. They've been taken advantage of. And that's what this is. People are being robbed. They're being robbed of their critical thinking. They're being robbed of their empathy. The answer to that is not shame. The answer to that is not anger. The answer to that is empathy and compassion.
Thank you.
He does it all holding like a gas station coffee. And the question comes up and people start going, oh, and he just takes a sip of it, and then delivers. And I think he's a former Marine, yeah, and delivers what is a really compassionate message. Again, I hadn't even heard of Graham Plattner, but I thought that was exactly how we should be speaking about this, because there's this opportunity for a really, really big tent. And most people agree on some level that in some way we're being screwed. And they've been convinced to blame that on immigrants or on trans or on drag queens or on other more malicious theories. And to say to them, no, actually, you're right. You're being screwed. It's kind of like Ossoff saying, MAGA's right that the system is rigged. Trump is right that Trump's just rigging it for himself and rigging it even further. And that, I think, we need to see more Democrats align with, because a lot of people have felt gaslit by the Democratic Party for a long time, where whether this was true or not, the perception from a lot of voters was that they were expressing that it felt like the system was rigged and that our economic approach had been completely broken against their favor. And that the Democrats were responding kind of like, nah, not really. It's fine. And in some cases that wasn't an accurate perception. In some cases it was, but it was the perception. And so to go, wait, it's actually fine. I'm not going to scream at you for saying, well, I think that they're fighting to just give health care to all the undocumented immigrants. But instead go where that underlying feeling, if it's not just a hate feeling, but if it's a economic stress or stress about your health care feeling, then that's a perfectly fair feeling. It's just, you're not being ripped off by a broken healthcare system because of undocumented immigrants. It's because of powerful people rigging it against you and doing everything in their interest against yours. And to have that message in sort of an empathetic way, I think, is the exact correct tone to strike.